Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, this is a good one.
It really is. A lot of people have connected with this book and its message, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited to kind of unpack some of its wisdom with you today.
Yeah, it's really interesting how this book blends ancient Toltec wisdom with this kind of modern personal development spin.
Right.
Ruiz is really presenting this path to personal freedom and happiness, and it's all rooted in self-awareness and conscious living.
Right.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, so let's jump right in. One of the core concepts that Ruiz introduces is this idea of domestication.
Hmm.
He argues that we're all essentially domesticated by society from a young age,
Mm-hmm.
and we internalize these beliefs and these rules that might not actually serve us. It's almost like we're handed this book of law that dictates, right and wrong, but we rarely question,
Right.
where did these rules come from? Are they even true?
Yeah, and that's such a powerful point because, this
Mhm.
domestication, it really shapes how we see ourselves in the world. Right.
Ruiz calls it the dream of the planet, like this collective reality that we all kind of buy into,
Right.
and oftentimes it's based on fear, judgment, suffering.
Right.
And, we end up judging ourselves, we end up judging others, constantly feeling like we're not good enough.
Right. It's like we're all trying to fit into this mold that wasn't even made for us.
Exactly.
And it can lead to a lot of inner conflict and unhappiness. And he shares this really poignant story, actually, about a young girl who loves to sing,
Hmm.
but when her mother, who is overwhelmed and stressed, tells her to be quiet because she has an ugly voice, the girl internalizes that belief
Wow.
and just stops singing.
It's crazy how those things can stick with you.
I know, and it's such a powerful illustration of how, words, especially from childhood, can shape our beliefs and limit our self-expression.
Words are so powerful, and that's a central theme in the Four Agreements, right? It's like words can create, they can destroy.
Right.
They can cast these smells of black magic through negativity, gossip, judgment.
And oftentimes, we wield this power unconsciously, hurting ourselves and others in the process.
It's like we're walking around like casting spells without even realizing it.
Yeah,
That's a bit unnerving.
it is a little bit.
So how do we break free from these limiting beliefs and start using our words more consciously?
Well, that's where the Four Agreements come in. These are 4 principles for using our words impeccably and reclaiming our personal power.
Okay.
And so the first agreement is be impeccable with your word, which we've already kind of touched upon.
Right.
It's about using your words consciously,
Yes.
for truth, love, and to uplift yourself and others.
Sounds simple enough, but in practice,
Yeah.
it can be really challenging. I mean, we have these deeply ingrained habits of using words carelessly without even considering their impact.
For sure.
And speaking of finding the motivation to break free from those limiting beliefs and negative self-talk, have you checked out the Affirmify Journey YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah.
They've got some incredible content that could
Yeah.
really give you that boost.
Their motivational videos are amazing.
Yeah.
Really helpful in shifting those ingrained patterns, for sure.
Yeah, so back to the agreements. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. This one encourages us to recognize that what others say and do is really a reflection of their own reality, not ours.
Right.
It's about detaching from the need to be right or to make others wrong and freeing ourselves from the emotional poison of taking things personally.
It's so important,
Yeah.
especially in our, hyper-connected world where we're constantly bombarded with opinions and judgments from everybody.
Oh, it's so easy to just get caught up in the drama and take things to heart. But when we do that, we're essentially giving away our power.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah.
It's like allowing someone else's movie, as Ruiz puts it, to kind of dictate our emotional state.
Right.
And this applies to our internal dialogue as well.
Oh, absolutely.
We judge and criticize ourselves mercilessly based on, these internalized rules that might not even be true.
That inner critic can be brutal. So how do we start to quiet that voice and break free from this cycle of taking things so personally?
Well, that's where the third agreement comes in. Don't make assumptions.
Okay.
Instead of filling in the gaps with our own interpretations, which are often clouded by fear and insecurity, this agreement encourages us to have the courage to ask questions and communicate clearly.
Okay.
It's about seeking clarity instead of assuming we know what others are thinking or feeling,
Right, which we often get wrong.
which we often get wrong.
Yeah.
Assumptions prevent us from truly connecting with others and understanding their perspectives.
We've all been there assuming the worst and then realizing later we were completely off base.
Totally.
And those assumptions can just cause so much unnecessary conflict and drama in our relationships.
Absolutely. Assumptions are a recipe for suffering, as Ruiz points out.
Right.
So the key is to become aware of our tendency to make assumptions and to choose curiosity and open communication instead.
That makes a lot of sense. And then we come to the fourth and final agreement. Always do your best. This one might sound a bit counterintuitive at first, especially in the context of like letting go of judgment and self-criticism.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right.
It's not about pushing ourselves to exhaustion or striving for this like impossible standard of perfection.
Right.
Ruiz emphasizes that your best will naturally fluctuate based on your circumstances and your energy levels.
Mm.
It's about consistent effort showing up fully in each moment rather than beating ourselves up for not being superhuman.
I love how Ruiz illustrates this point with the story of the man who asks a Buddhist master, how long will it take me to transcend if I meditate for 4 hours a day?
Oh, yeah.
And the master says, well, if you meditate for 4 hours a day, perhaps you will transcend in 10 years.
Okay.
And the man's like, well, what if I meditated for 8 hours a day? And the master's response is brilliant. If you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you'll transcend in 20 years.
That's so good.
It's such a good story, and it's such a great reminder that more isn't always better.
It's not about that.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot where effort meets enjoyment, where we're fully engaged, but not like sacrificing our well-being in the process.
Right, and that sweet spot will naturally ebb and flow.
Right.
So self-compassion is key here.
It's about being kind to ourselves, recognizing that our best will vary from day to day, and focusing on progress, not perfection.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. I love that.
And Ruiz argues that, when practiced together, these four agreements create this powerful synergy that can transform our lives.
Right.
They help us break free from the dream of the planet, that collective fog of fear and judgment, and create a new dream, a personal dream of heaven.
This sounds incredibly liberating.
It is.
So how do we actually start to create this new dream? What are some of the Toltec techniques that Ruiz offers for breaking free from limiting beliefs and stepping into this new reality?
Well, one of the most intriguing concepts he introduces is this thing called the parasite, which is essentially a metaphor for the judge, the victim, and the belief system that kind of controls our minds and feeds off our negative emotions.
The parasite. I'm definitely intrigued. Tell me more.
It is a powerful image, right? Ruiz argues that we need to wage war against this parasite to reclaim our freedom and become warriors in the truest sense.
Yeah, it really is a powerful image. It captures how those negative thoughts and beliefs can take root in our minds and drain our energy.
Yeah.
He describes these as agreements that we've made with ourselves,
Right.
often unconsciously,
Yeah.
and they just don't serve us anymore.
So how do we even begin to fight this internal battle against the parasite? It sounds like a daunting task.
It can be, especially when we've been under its influence for so long. But Ruiz offers 3 paths to freedom.
Okay.
And I find it kind of reassuring that, there are these different approaches we can experiment with.
So the first path involves confronting our fears, directly dismantling the parasite, one belief at a time.
So it's like slowly chipping away at that wall of fear that's been holding us back.
Exactly. Each fear we overcome kind of weakens the parasite's grip and brings us closer to reclaiming our power.
Okay.
And it builds resilience too,
Right.
but it does require patience and persistence. It's kind of like weeding a garden. You got to pull out the weeds as they sprout.
That makes sense. What about the second path?
The second path focuses on starving the parasite by controlling our reactions.
Okay.
You see, the parasite thrives on drama and suffering. It feeds off our negative emotions.
Mm.
So the idea is to deprive it of that sustenance.
So if we can learn to respond to difficult situations with more calmness awareness, we can essentially weaken the parasite's hold.
Precisely. It's like cutting off its food supply. Easier said than done, of course, because we've been conditioned to react in certain ways for years. But this is where the 4 agreements come in handy. They provide the tools to help us shift those ingrained patterns of thought and behavior.
Right. I can see how practicing those agreements would help us stay more grounded in those challenging situations.
Yeah.
It's like building up our mental immunity to the parasite's influence.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And then there's the third path, which Ruiz calls the initiation of the dead.
Okay.
Now, this one can sound a bit intense.
Initiation of the dead. I'm definitely curious. What does that even mean?
Essentially, it's about letting go of the old self, the ego-driven identity that's been shaped by the dream of the planet.
Right.
It's a symbolic death, a shedding of the old skin to reveal a more authentic self underneath.
So it's like a metaphorical death and resurrection.
Yeah.
Like letting go of who we thought we were to become who we truly are.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And it can happen gradually through consistent practice of the 4 agreements and conscious awareness, or it can occur more dramatically like a sudden awakening or a profound shift in perspective.
It sounds a little bit like those moments when you suddenly see things in a completely different light, almost like waking up from a dream.
Exactly. And those moments can be incredibly liberating.
Right.
They allow us to step outside the limitations of our old beliefs and see the world and ourselves with fresh eyes.
This whole idea of the parasite and the three paths to freedom, it's really resonating with me. It's like a framework for understanding those internal battles we all face, and it empowers us to take control of our minds and emotions.
That's exactly what Ruiz intends.
Mm.
He wants to empower us to become warriors in the truest sense, not through physical combat, but through this internal battle against the parasite.
Right.
It's about cultivating discipline not in a rigid sense, but as a form of self-control, mastering our emotions and choosing our responses consciously.
This whole concept of being a warrior really speaks to me. It's not about aggression, but about like taking ownership of our inner world and fighting for our own freedom.
Right. It's about courage, resilience, and consciously choosing love over fear, even when it's difficult.
Right.
And it's about recognizing that we have the power to break free from the grip of the parasite and create a new dream, a reality that reflects our true nature, our inherent divinity.
And this brings us to the final section of the book where Ruiz paints a vision of this new dream, a reality he calls heaven on earth.
Yes. It's a vision of a world where love is the guiding force, where relationships are based on respect and understanding, and where each individual is free to express their unique gifts and talents without fear of judgment.
It's a beautiful vision, but is it really attainable? I mean, the world can feel so full of chaos and conflict.
Right.
So how can we create heaven amidst all of that?
Well, Ruiz believes it starts with each individual. It's about choosing love over fear, taking responsibility for our own thoughts, words, and actions,
Right.
and extending that same compassion to others. It's about remembering that we're all interconnected part of the same source, and that our actions ripple outward, affecting not only our own lives, but the lives of those around us.
I love how he uses the analogy of a flame being passed from a master to a student.
Oh, yeah.
A flame of love that grows and expands, encompassing everything it touches.
It's a powerful image, right? It reminds us that love is contagious. It has this ripple effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it speaks to the transformative power of love, that when we choose love, it radiates outward, touching every aspect of our lives and influencing those around us.
It reminds me of that famous quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Ruiz's vision of heaven on earth isn't about waiting for someone else to create it. It's about each of us stepping into our power and becoming that change.
Exactly. It's a call to action, an invitation to embrace our capacity to create a world filled with love and harmony.
Right.
And Ruiz offers several tools to help us do that, including a series of prayers and affirmations to cultivate love, inner peace, and that sense of interconnectedness.
That's something I really appreciate about this book. It's not just about abstract concepts.
Right.
It offers practical tools and techniques to apply these principles in our daily lives.
Absolutely. He provides a roadmap, but he also acknowledges that the journey is unique for each individual.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another. So it's about finding the practices that resonate most deeply with you.
So it's about experimenting, being open to different approaches, and trusting our own inner guidance as we navigate this path.
Exactly. And remembering that transformation is a process, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of enlightenment, but about showing up each day, doing our best, and choosing love, even when it's hard.
I love that. It's a reminder to be kind to ourselves along the way, to celebrate our progress, and to keep moving forward one step at a time.
And to remember that we're not alone on this journey. The Toltec tradition emphasizes the importance of community, of supporting each other on this path of transformation.
That makes so much sense. Creating heaven on earth isn't a solitary pursuit.
It's not.
It's a collective effort.
It is.
It's about coming together, supporting each other, and learning from each other's experiences.
It's about recognizing that we're stronger together, that we can amplify our impact when we work together, and that by sharing our unique gifts and perspectives, we can create something truly extraordinary.
This deep dive has been incredibly insightful. It's clear that the Four Agreements is much more than just a self-help book.
Oh, yeah.
It's a profound spiritual guide, a map for navigating the complexities of human experience and reclaiming our inherent freedom and joy.
I couldn't agree more. It's a book that can truly transform your life if you're open to its message and willing to put its principles into practice.
But before we wrap up, there's one more piece I want to unpack, something Ruiz calls dreaming with intention. I find this idea particularly fascinating.
Oh, yes. This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Ruiz suggests that we can actually use our dreams, both waking and sleeping, as a tool for personal transformation.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But how does that actually work? How can we dream with intention?
Well, he encourages us to start by setting intentions before we sleep, almost like planting seeds in the fertile ground of our subconscious mind.
Yeah.
Asking ourselves, what kind of dream do I want to create for my life? What beliefs and behaviors are no longer serving me? What qualities do I want to cultivate?
So it's about being intentional about the kind of reality we want to manifest.
Precisely. And then it's about paying attention to the symbols and messages that arise in our dreams.
Okay.
He encourages us to keep a dream journal, to reflect on the recurring themes and emotions that show up, and to look for guidance and insights from our subconscious mind.
It sounds like we're tapping into the power of the subconscious to help us heal and grow.
Exactly. It's like we're inviting the wisdom of our deeper self to guide us on this journey.
Right.
And then it's about consciously choosing to rewrite the script of our internal dialogue.
Okay.
So if we notice patterns of self-criticism or limiting beliefs showing up in our dreams, we can choose to replace them with more empowering affirmations and visualizations.
This is really making me think about the connection between our inner world and our outer reality.
Yeah.
It's like if we can shift our internal narrative, we can start to see those changes reflected in our external experiences.
Exactly. And this is where the Toltec concept as the Nagul comes in.
The Nagul, this is a new one.
The Nagul is a bit of a complex concept to explain, but in essence, it represents the realm of pure energy,
Okay.
the unseen force that animates all creation. It's like the life force, the
Yeah.
universal energy that flows through all things.
So it's like that underlying energy field that connects us all.
Precisely.
Mhm.
And Ruiz suggests that by becoming aware of the Nagul, by aligning ourselves with its energy, we can tap into a source of unlimited potential and create miracles in our lives.
This is really fascinating. It's almost like what some spiritual traditions call chi or prana,
Yeah.
this vital energy that flows through everything.
It's a fascinating parallel, isn't it? Many traditions have recognized this concept of universal energy, and the Toltecs believed that by aligning ourselves with this energy, by consciously choosing to channel it into our lives and our dreams,
Right.
we could create profound transformation.
This whole concept of the Nagwal and dreaming with intention makes me think about those moments when everything seems to flow effortlessly, when we feel connected to something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Things just seem to fall into place.
Yeah.
It's like we're tapping into a powerful force, a current that carries us toward our goals.
That's a great way to describe it. It's about aligning ourselves with that flow, with the energy of the Nagul, and allowing ourselves to be guided by something greater than our limited ego mind.
This deep dive has been incredibly thought-provoking.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how all of these Toltec concepts, the 4 agreements, the parasite, the 3 paths, the Nagwal dreaming with intention, all weave together to create a truly profound and empowering framework for living a more conscious and fulfilling life.
It is a beautiful tapestry of wisdom, It's about becoming masters of our own dreams, weaving magic with our thoughts and words, and creating a world that reflects the love, joy, and abundance that reside within each of us.
It's about remembering that we are not just passive recipients of reality, but active co-creators
Right.
with the power to change the dream, shift the narrative, and create a world that reflects our highest aspirations.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we are not alone on this journey.
Right.
We have each other. We have the support of the divine, and we have the wisdom of the Toltec tradition to guide us.
It's a journey worth taking, a journey that leads us back to our true selves, to the source of our power, and to the creation of a world that reflects the love and beauty that reside within each of us.
Yeah.
It really is. It offers this roadmap for that journey, provides these principles that can guide us back to our true selves, back to the source of our power, and ultimately to the creation of a world that reflects the love and beauty that resides within each of us.
And speaking of resources that can support us on that journey, I wanted to mention lingopediamagazine.com. They offer a wide variety of courses and ebooks on personal growth and development. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who wants to delve deeper into these topics and continue their journey of self-discovery.
I've heard great things about their offerings. Sounds like there'd be a great complement to exploring the 4 agreements and putting these principles into practice.
Absolutely. And of course, we always encourage revisiting the book itself.
Right.
We've just skimmed the surface here. There's so much depth and wisdom to uncover in the 4 agreements. And each time you return to it, you might find new insights that resonate with where you are in your life.
Yeah, that's the beauty of books like this, isn't it? They can be lifelong companions on our journey of growth and transformation.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we invite you to reflect on what resonated most with you today. Which of the four agreements felt particularly relevant to your own life? What Toltec techniques sparked your curiosity? And most importantly, how can you start to integrate these principles into your daily life?
Yeah, it's about taking those nuggets of wisdom and weaving them into the fabric of our being, allowing them to transform not just our thoughts, but our actions, our relationships, and ultimately our experience of the world.
Beautifully said. And remember, transformation is a process, not a destination. Be kind to yourself along the way. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it might seem.
We're all on this journey together, learning, growing, evolving, and we're so grateful that you joined us for this deep dive into the four agreements.
Yeah, if you enjoyed this exploration, we'd love for you to subscribe to our channel, share this episode with anyone who might benefit from it, and leave us a comment letting us know your thoughts. We always appreciate hearing from our listeners.
Thank you for being here. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep dreaming big.